What is up, fishermen and fisherwomen? Welcome to this weather forecast. For those of you who are seeing this is not for week 1, by the way. As you can see, it is not going to be the 22nd. If the first week has not yet happened, but we already have our first weather forecast coming for week 2 of this fishing season. That means that well, we get to fish for another week, I guess, because the weather looks pretty good. Now mainly there is 9 days left until the week 2 edition of the of our fishing channel's fishing video is going to be made. And there's 2 until the first one, but yeah, we got the first weather outlook for week 2, which is the last one in March. We get 2 March fishing days this year. So this time it takes place on the 29th. Which is just about a couple days before the month ends. So here it is. Starting with today, the temperature, or starting with the 29th, the temperatures are right now, the initial forecast says it's 64 degrees. That means we are under what is known as a code green, meaning it's cool outside, which means you can get away with wearing a sweatshirt. But I wouldn't recommend wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt. I would wear a minimum of a long sleeve shirt because it's a little cool outside. It's 2 degrees below the next level up though, so I mean, what can you say? It's March. March fishing is the earliest form of fishing we get for the season, so it's really one of the 2 months that are not going to be 100% complete. The other one is December, towards the end of the fishing season. But the rest of the months, every Sunday we'll have one. So for the UV index, it is because of the fact that the weather actually. Let's go back here real quick. Because of the fact that the high is at 3 o'clock, that means our goal is going to be to fish from 2 p.m. till 5, unless if Sunday dinner is at a specific time that will require us to go earlier. So yeah, that is that. Next up is, and because of that information, the UV index is in the high range on that day. Still not something for me to worry about because it's not really too high yet. And besides, we're going to be wearing a lot of clothing that will prevent us from getting sunburnt. Hopefully. I mean, it is high. UV rays are usually more common towards the summer, so as of right now, it's not too bad. As of the time I'm recording this, it is currently Friday, and it's still winter, but it is now, I think, the last day of winter, if I remember correctly, right? Actually, no. Today is the 20th. I guess it kind of technically still is winter, but for a couple hours. Spring starts today. Yes, sir! Finally, the world's worst season is over. I'm kidding. Summer's the worst because it's freaking boiling now. But at least you can fish during the summer, unlike the winter around here. Moving on to the wind speed, it is 12 miles per hour going south-southwest. A lot of you guys probably don't know what that means. It means it's going, I want to say down, but to the left. I don't know why the arrows are different than what it actually says. But the wind speeds at the highest are supposed to be 12 miles per hour with gusts of 14. And that's around like 5:30. So we might not even be fishing for too long. But if we are fishing for, let's say if we were randomly fishing at 11 o'clock at night, that's when we would be dealing with wind gusts of up to 30 miles per hour. That is insane, by the way. I probably will have to deal with that wind later during travel. So it will affect me because I ride bicycles everywhere. So, and since it's going south, it means I'm going against the wind. So it sucks for me. And by the way, these arrows are actually pointing upwards, which signals it goes north, which is very weird. I don't know why it's telling me that. If the wind is actually going north, then it benefits me, actually. So let's just be clear there. With the wind speeds at 12 miles per hour, that pretty much means it's at a different level than what we're dealing. It's a little bit higher than what we're going to be dealing with in week 1. But if you take a look, I should have shown this in the week 1's weather outlook, because this is the Beaufort scale that I was talking about in all my other videos. These are the different wind levels. Anything 4 or higher might pose a sufficient challenge to fishing. As we are once again dealing with another moderate breeze. Seems to be a common thing in fishing. But in the first fishing video, we're only dealing with a gentle breeze, which usually wind speeds of levels 3 and 4 are the most common around here. Anything lower is rare, but awesome. Especially if it's at 0. Well, I guess if it's at 0, the water's not going to be moving at all. So, but anything higher than anything that is really high, like all the way up to 6, that's like going to be super challenging. But yeah, you can basically see the difficulty colors basically on right next to it. Ours is currently like a green color, like pure green. And honestly, I'm not too scared. Hopefully we can succeed here. All right, precipitation, nothing. We are not getting anything. We're not going to need ponchos for the second week either. Which is a good sign because that means we'll deal with a rainless March for the fishing season at least. Visibility 15 miles per hour. Or 15 miles, not 15 miles per hour. It's pretty good. I'm not sure why this is a straight line here. Usually it would go up or down like a curve or something, but it's just like a straight line on 15 and it doesn't seem to want to change. I'm not sure what's up with that, by the way. And of course, your average temperatures. I'm going to show this again. With the temperature being at 60, what is it? What was it? 64. It is still 9 degrees above the average for March. But let's be honest here. We're nearing the end of the month at this point, as this one is on March 29th, which is technically week 5 of March. That's why I said we were lucky to have 2 fishing days in the month of March this year. Because usually they can most likely would only be 1. Because not every year we're going to have a week 5 in March. What does this exactly mean for us? Well, I guess you get a double fishing during March for the year. And then after that, it's going to be April. So yeah, these are the temperatures that are expected, with the average low in March being 38 degrees, which technically normally happens towards 6 a.m. or just before when the sun starts to rise, which is now 5 a.m. because of extended daylight savings time. And the average high is at 55 degrees, which is usually happening at 3 when the temperature reaches its peak. But we are 9 degrees above that for week 2. So technically the temperature is above the going to be above average. So yeah, these are temperatures you can really expect to prepare for. You shouldn't have to prepare for freezing temperatures. Well, that's actually over now for the year, because as of March 20th, we have finally gotten out of the final freeze of the year. Yeah, this winter was a brutal one, and it's finally over. It is finally spring. Well, I guess for a few more hours it's still winter, but because technically it starts towards like maybe the middle of the second quarter of today. But spring is finally here. Early spring is going to be a celebration for some people, especially me, because it's my favorite season. It used to be summer, but summer's too hot now. And so it's now spring for me. And for the spring season, it is... The reason why I like the spring season so much is because I don't have to deal with the cold like you would in the winter. We don't have to deal with the heat like we would during the summer. And we don't have to deal with a bunch of random leaves flying all over the place like you would in the fall. The only real thing you would have to deal with is pollen. But I'm immune to pollen, so I really could care less. If I wasn't, then fall would be my favorite season, but pollen has no effect on me, so yeah, let's just say that. I just want to say this is going to be a good fishing week as well. Week 2 is it's not going to be as comfortable as week 1, where the temperature is just a little bit, it's just like maybe 2 degrees too high. But this one's like maybe a couple degrees too low, I think. So maybe it's almost around the same comfortableness, except instead of the heat we're dealing with cool airs. So it's not terrible. So again, the temperature is supposed to be 76 for the end of week 1. So I guess week 1 is going to be is going to be more comfortable than week 2. Because week 1 it's 1 degree above comfortable. This one is 2 degrees below comfortable. Which the definition of comfortable, for those of you who are questioning what that is, it is a temperature range that starts at 66 degrees and ends at 75 degrees. That right there is the best temperature range you would get to go fishing in. Because the temperatures are not brutal, they're not terrible, and you really don't have to worry about melting. Or freezing, which freezing is not very common, unless if we're fishing towards the end of the fall, like we did last year. We will probably have to deal with that later in fishing season, towards when the winter begins. Because believe it or not, we've had snowfall in the fall already. We've had snowfall, I think, 3 times in the winter now, by the way. That is a record for a long time. There was supposed to be snow falling in the spring, but that was clearly canceled out. And yeah. So we are at March right now. And that is going to be it for the first weather outlook for week 2. If you're subscribed to this channel, in 2 days we will premiere the main video for week 1. And in 3 days, we will premiere the second weather outlook for week 2. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. And we will see you guys next time.